1, 2. G'day everyone, back in for our usual Friday, Thursday show for you in the US and Europe. Live Sony Alpha Rumors news discussion. So say hi in the chat. I'm going to give this probably 5 minutes just for pre-show. So while we're doing this pre-show, let me just put story 1. I'm going to change this. I won't set the timer, I'll just look at it myself. So check it out. Basically, if you don't want to watch the whole show, just skip. I'll have a timeline underneath this. So you can skip to that if you don't want to watch the whole thing. So stay tuned for that. So let me bring up the chat. Let's just see who's in here for the moment. So who have we got? So we've got, let me go back to the beginning. Tim's in here, way early, he said. Is it Sylvian, is it? Sylvian, not sure. Roscoe is watching and waiting. Master Stones Magnus is saying midnight oil is burning in Sweden. Cheers. I'm having a Milo. Do you guys have Milo overseas? It's like a chocolatey milk thing, so it's called Milo. I don't know whether you guys have it. Let me know in the chat. What else we got? Will is saying, might as well give a thumbs up while waiting. Thank you so much, Will. Really appreciate that. It lets other people know that I'm online. So if you do come online, please, thumbs up is great. The A key stopped working on my Logitech keyboard. I'll have to do Control Z each time I want a face. Carl says, this is the 4th replacement in as many years. Oh, your keyboard? Wow, that's bad. Model... it's the K800. Avoid it like the plague. Yeah, that's awful. Will said, I have some bad reviews on that keyboard, but it looks nice. Carl says, it has beautiful action as a touch typeset, but it's always keeps failing. Well, that's no good. It might look good, but it's no good if it keeps failing, is it, Carl? Matthew said, looking forward to watching later. Travelling home from Norfolk Island. Look forward to seeing you later, Matthew. Will said, so did Nikon's IAF blow everyone's mind, laugh out loud? I'm going to talk about that in a story, actually, Will. So stay tuned for that later on today. Chris said, hello, David. Rainy day in Los Angeles, but a good Corona day. Geez, it's a beautiful day here. We're having such beautiful weather at the moment. Considering that we're just about into winter, you know, we're 20 all week, 20 degrees Celsius, so it's just lovely. David is combing his hair, Jim said. I love it. You're so naughty, Casper. I don't know. Who else have we got? Joe said, in Florida at sunset. Rui said, hello, everyone. Casper said, Sony, Sony, Sony. Brad said, hey, David, love the video where Casey called you a Sony cult leader. Why? Why? I mean, I don't understand why Casey would call me like a Sony fanboy. What's Casey going on about? Like, what would ever give him the opinion that I'm a Sony fanboy? I just don't understand. I mean, really, I just don't understand what he's going on about. Really, you know, I mean, Sony fanboys wouldn't wear t-shirts like this, would they? I mean, come on, Casey. What are you going on about? Oh, love it. Casey cracks me up. I love it when it really tickles my Australian sense of humour when he does stuff like that. I really love it when he take the piss out of me. You know, I love it. It's funny. So what else have we got? Maffan said, let's get out the way. What about Godox? Godox is cheaper. Oh, no. I'm going to cop that when I talk about the Profoto. I know it. Oh, well, I am a Profoto user and I love Profoto gear, so I'm gonna talk about it anyway, and you can just give me the slamming that I know I'm probably gonna cop anyway. I am DeBrown is here as well. G'day, mate. Van is also says, I love Milo. I have Milo all the time when I was in Malaysia. So do you have Milo in the US, guys? I'm just curious. James said hi from South Mississippi. Jim says, Carl, Ryan, change the spelling of your name and avoid the A's. Sony drinking game today. You are getting pie-eyed today. What does that mean? Pie-eyed. Carl says, I'm back. Altric says, not much. Oh, so Altric's in here as well. Rui says, did you ever go to Bendigo and take pics off Marilyn Monroe statue? No, I didn't, Rui. I kept forgetting it was there. I saw it. They had a massive Marilyn Monroe statue there that I did mean to go, but I haven't gone. And Thomas said, install the update in the wee hours of the morning. Very smooth upgrade. Yeah, I've still got to do mine yet, so I must do that, and I'm going to talk about that in the first story. Jim said the ultimate fanboy would be hat-shaped like Sony tulip lens cap. I know. I just don't understand why he'd say I'm a fanboy. What's going on? Check out this body though, guys. Look, you ready? Focus, Sony, focus. Look at this. Look at this. I'm like this and I haven't even had a drink yet. Now, if you haven't watched my latest video, check that out. I'll talk about that in a minute once we go over to the live show fully. I want to give, like I said, a few minutes so that I can get people in and let them know that I'm live. So, guys, if you can, we've got nearly 80 watching now. Please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it because it does make a big difference to my channel and make sure that people see it. What else have we got? Let me just switch back to the chat. So I'll only have another minute or so, guys, and then we'll start. Master Stone said, got my dirty hand on the Profoto A1X and just love it. One can feel the quality just by turning the head of the unit. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in a minute as well. Jason said, if I remember correctly, Milo was the name of a dog movie here in the US. Oh, yeah, it was too. Altric said, what's good with you, Iron to Brown? Van said, no, we don't have Milo here, but we can get it from the Asian markets. Oh, okay. Oreo said, good day. G'day, Oreo. Andre says, you're late over there. Andre says, hi. Melvin says, a big hello here from Chicago. Jim said, Sony biceps. I love it. Brad said, I think Casey is right. Your videos lured me to the dark side as I sold all my Canon gear and replaced it with Sony. So I tell my wife it's your fault. I spent all that money. Oh, I'm always in trouble, so don't worry about it. We have Milo in the Caribbean. Oh, Richard, so you have got Milo over there. Casper said pie-eyed means to be intoxicated. Derives its name from diluted pupils. Oh, okay. They get on other substances. Oh, okay. Van says, be proud for being called Sony fanboy these days. Yeah, we've got Milo here in Canada. Wow, cool. Okay, so William says, morning, David. Joe says, get a Sony tattoo on your arm. Kerry, kill me. Or an alpha forehead on the alpha forehead. I'm coughing again. Casey had to go at me about my cough as well. It's nearly gone now. Andrew says, David, what to choose between 16 to 35 GM and the Batis 18mm? I got today you got the 24, you lucky thing, yeah. It just depends on whether you need that reach, Andre, whether you want the 16 to 35. It just depends really whether you want to go as wide as the 16 and then have that reach of going up to 35 as well. It's a hard one and really only you can make that decision. They're both great lenses. Rui says, Milo is the name of a hamburger stand in Alabama. Interesting. Leaving now to get some sleep. Look forward to looking at this in the morning. No worries, Master. All right, so let me go over to the Oastler Images logo and then we'll start the show, guys. I need to move this bench up a bit. Yeah, that'll do. All right, so let me go to the Oastler Images and then we'll start. G'day everyone, just had a bit of a pre-show. Welcome to the Sony Alpha News and Rumours show. These shows are always long shows. I always get comments about who would watch something for 1.5 hours. Someone made a comment on Casey's comment that he put up. If you don't want to watch a long show, switch off. It's that simple. And if you don't like watching me talking about news and rumours for Sony Alpha cameras and stuff like that, also switch off. Remember, no one forces you to stay here. So if you don't want to stay, just basically go. It always cracks me up when people say that. These shows are always long, but I will be putting the timeline down underneath. So if you do want to just skip to a certain story that you like, you can. Apart from that, we're going to have a great discussion today. Just to start off today, I wanted to discuss that my A6400 has been sent in for repairs. The USB port on it, I think, is faulty, because when I went to connect it to the computer, actually it was trying to connect it onto my mobile, the gimbal, because on this, I love this gimbal too, by the way. This is incredible. This is the Moser Air 2. On the Moser Air 2, you've got a lead that you can attach. Let me see if I can focus. That goes into your camera, and it will charge your camera up, but it also, you can change the ISO, your shutter speed and your aperture, all through the menus through here. So if you're using this rotation thing here, you can change that, your ISO, shutter speed and aperture through there, and it's a great feature. But I went to use it when I did the video of Rebecca. If you haven't seen that, check that out, because it's the last review I've got. Well, it's not the last one, but I mean, it's when I reviewed the Sigma 135mm. I used the A6400 on that gimbal, and I wanted to plug it in and obviously have it charge the battery. Due to the fact that those batteries are so small in the A6400, it's nice to charge it up from the gimbal. And also to use the features, like I said, you can control your aperture, shutter speed, etc., and ISO. So it didn't work, and I thought, what's going on here? And then I tried to connect it to my computer, and it also wouldn't connect to the computer either. I reset the camera, tried multiple different leads, nothing would work. So it looks like it's got a faulty USB port. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is because how amazing Sony Pro support is. So when you hear people say how bad it is, I can only give you my experience of how it is here in Australia. And you can let me know in the comments box down below if it's the same for you. But all I have to do is I just ring them up, or I can go online and I just book it to be a job to be fixed. Then within probably 15 minutes, I'll get a call from Sony to say that yes, that it's been logged. We're going to send you an email now, and that email will have all your details that you just fill it in, contact the courier, and they come and pick it up. And it was just the next day, because I got it fairly late. So I contacted the courier, they came and picked it up, and then I sent it off the next day. So that I don't have to pay for that. That's all part of the Sony Pro service. And then after it shipped, it got there the next day, because it has to go to another state here in Australia. It's just in one state, which is in South Australia. I got the email from South Australia from Sony Pro support to say yes, they'd got the camera in. Due to the fact that you're on Sony Pro support, it will be looked at within 3 days. And then depending on what happens and what they need to get, whether they've got the part in there or whatever, I may get it back very quickly, or I might have to wait a little bit until they get the part in. But what a fantastic service. As soon as then it's fixed, they would replace it for me. Now, I know when I had an issue with the A9 early on, they sent me another A9 while that was being replaced. And I don't know whether they do that with an A6400, as it's a lower-ended camera, but they certainly, with the higher, more pro-end cameras, will send you a replacement unit while you're waiting. And what a fantastic service. So I had a replacement unit within a few days. I think it was about 3 or 4 days. And then I could keep that until the unit was replaced. Brilliant. I can't say any more than how good that service is. So I just wanted to sort of say that to you. So if you have got Sony Pro support in your country, I do highly recommend that you join it, as long as you have the minimum requirements. There's minimum requirements, like you have to have, I think, a couple of bodies and a couple of lenses or something like that, the Pro lenses. But I had to laugh, because when they checked what I had, they went, "Ooh, you have got a lot of gear." I love it. It's funny. I'm just showing you my Type A personality. Thank you, Delta Dave, for this. I love this one. This is black. I love this one. I've got the Sony neutral grey and also the orange one as well. So talking about that, that's that side of it done. Please, if you haven't, check Rebecca's video that I just posted. I used this lens on the shoot. Now, I have done a Sony version as well. I'll talk about in a minute. But so I used this with the MC11 adapter on it. And it worked I can't believe how great this works on the A9. It's nuts. And I even tried the A7 III, and it works really good on that as well. Incredibly surprised how well adaptive lenses. I mean, I don't know if Canon lenses work as well as this, but this is a Sigma Canon lens, and it's the Sigma MC11. So whether the Sigma lenses work better with this Sigma MC11 than, say, if I put a Canon lens on here, like the 85 1.2 or something, or any other Canon lens, whether it would work as well, I don't know. And someone might be able to let me know in the chat too whether that's the case. But it really surprised me. And I've done a couple of tests online to people, and it was sort of 50-50. I posted a pic from one and the other, and I didn't tell people what they were, and said guess which image was which. Some guessed, like Oreo was pretty good, he gets them all the time, but most people in this blind test were 50-50 basically, getting it right or wrong, and it just shows how close the quality is between these two lenses. And if you think about it, that in Australia, this is $1,000 cheaper than what the Sony version is, which I've got on here. So it is $1,000 cheaper. Now, you guys know me, and it's like why I buy Profoto. I usually like to buy the best I can for what I want to use. And so I would probably still, if it was a personal thing, I probably would buy the Sony version. I'll give you a couple of reasons why. Is the fact that it's slightly better focusing. But when I say slightly better, it's not dramatic. So it is slightly better. And also you have on here, you've got the aperture ring, which is a definite advantage. Also, you've got your IAF buttons that you can control through here as well. You know, and so if you'd like to have that, and it's also a bit quieter in focusing, but I believe that someone has told me, I can't remember who it was, it might have been Gerald or someone, was telling me that if you haven't got the adapted lens, if you have the Sony version of this, that's also quiet. So it might just be that it's the adapted version of that. But quality-wise, they are that close. Yes, like Oreo said to me yesterday in the photography videography skill, he prefers the rendering slightly of the Sigma. But like I said, most people, when I say most, half and half couldn't tell the difference. And I can tell you that a client certainly would not be able to tell you the difference. So if you do want to save some money, I could highly recommend getting the Sigma 135 because the quality is almost identical. And if you're looking at them blind, you're not going to be able to really tell the difference for most people. Unless you're a pixel peeper, I suppose. But the average person out there is not really going to be able to tell the difference. And I've proven that by putting it on Facebook. So if you are a little bit tight for money, you might be able to save that money. Like I said, if you're in Australia, you might be able to save $1,000. Well, you can here. You can save $1,000 by getting the Sigma version of this. That gives you enough money to then go out and buy the Tamron 28-75, for instance. So that really is something that you need to consider. But like I said, it all depends. Like Oreo said, he prefers the rendering of the GM. Yeah, and I mentioned that, Oreo. But like I said, a blind testing, I don't think most people can tell the difference. But that's just my opinion. Now, I've done a video that I did of Rebecca. So check that out. I think it's beautiful, and I think the images are beautiful. That's the Sigma version. But I also filmed at the same time, so it's going to look very similar when you look at the videos. But I also shot at the same time the Sony version. So stay tuned for that, because what I'll probably do is just replace the Sigma version with the Sony images, so you can have a look at that video to see how the Sony looks as well. I didn't want to do a side-by-side because I wanted to review these things independently of one another. I might have some things that I can do that with, like I've done a studio shoot with Chanel that may compare both, and it'll certainly compare the bokeh round, you know, the round balls of the bokeh from fairy lights and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. But overall, you really can't go wrong. So if you are short for a little bit of money, I can highly recommend the Canon version or the Sigma version. I haven't tried that yet, but I think it'll be the same. I can highly recommend the Sigma 135mm if you're trying to save some money. But I don't regret buying my Sony version one bit. Like I said, for me, the aperture wheel is worth it alone, that declickable aperture wheel. Having the programmable buttons are on there are worth it. And, you know, it really is, for me, a better purchase for what I do, and the slightly faster autofocus. Particularly, I've still got to test the low light focusing, and I haven't really done much of that yet, and I must do that before I send it back, because I've got a feeling that the low light may really pull the GM ahead, but I'll have to test it to see. But again, it's hard when I'm using the MC11 because I think you'd find if you had the Sony version of the 135, it would make a difference. So anyway, stay tuned for that. All right, so we'll get started on today's show. Please, if you can, give us a thumbs up, guys. Really would appreciate it. I know I keep harping on it, but it is, remember, we're unsponsored. So it is a great feature because it gets more people to watch the show. So let's go to today's number one story. Let me bring this up. So where are we? Oh, it's over here. All right, let's go. So I wanted to bring this up first because I noticed that Sony had brought out new firmware. And they've done it to a whole stack of cameras, and they've even given the A series cameras a bit of love as well. If you're looking here, that we've got and I think the only thing that's been released, they've said about this release is that it's fixes, but they haven't really said what it is. Someone said to me this morning, and I'd love someone to test this as well, in the photography and videography school, some were claiming that the update had enabled them to run extra timing, you know, like you're limited to the 30 minutes at the moment. Some were claiming that they could get outside of that. Now, I noticed Oreo said that he tested it and it didn't work. He was still stuck in the 30-minute recording. But others had said they definitely could go past 30 minutes, and, you know, they were up to 40 minutes and they just turned it off. So this is an interesting thing, and I'm wondering whether the updates are if you're outside of Europe, whether it works. So I'm waiting on some of the US people to try it. Let me know if anyone has in the live chat. But that, like I said, there has been reports that the time limit had changed, and I haven't heard that. I would have thought they would have mentioned that if that was the case. Anyway, so the update itself, I haven't done them yet, by the way. So we've got the Sony A9 has got an update, the A7R3, the A7 III, the A7R2, and I'm a little bit like Oreo because I noticed on the photography videography school, Oreo said that he's not thinking about upgrading due to the fact you've got that Play Memories hack, and that Play Memories hack lets you go for longer than 30 minutes. So I need to make sure that it doesn't break that hack. So I'm not going to upgrade my A7R2 until I hear about that. And I'm with you, Oreo. Let me know if you've done it and whether you've tried it or not. But I'm not going to update it until I hear about that. There's also an A7 II, A7S II, and the A6 500 have all got updates. So that's a really extensive. And there's also the A mount has been given a bit of love as well. So, you know, I'm really happy for those users as well. But boy, have Sony issued a big updates, and if you think they're still doing firmware updates for the A7 II, it's pretty incredible when you think about it, and even the A7S II. So anyway, there's a little bit of love there. They're not really saying what these workarounds are. I think it's just camera stability, etc., that no one knows what that is, but it must have done something that we don't know about. But anyway, so it's there if you need to do it. So let me just quickly go back to Q&A just to see what's going on with the chat. So where were we? G'day, Phonomic is here. Jim is just saying hello. Difference is $500 in the US. I'll take the GM. Yeah, see, it depends really what the exchange is. But like I said, $1,000 in Australia is a lot of money, Carl. Especially for photographers that haven't got much money. Like I said, that's the difference of being able to buy a Tamron 28-75 and have the Sigma 135mm as well. And I was really surprised how well it worked. And I know Photomir can also chime in because he's just recently done a video where he tried the Sigma and he really liked them as well. So you can give us your opinion, Photomir. I think the Sigma lenses are outstanding. Thanks, Jim, for that. Jason said, updated my A7 III and my A6 500 this morning. Andre says, laugh out loud. Langston's here as well. G'day, Langston. Panopticon said, firmware Animal IAF and ISO also seem to be improved. Oh, okay, so that's on the A7 III. We haven't got an update yet on the A6 400, so we're still waiting on the IAF, but Sony said they'd do that sometime in your US summer, so they're still not behind schedule on that. Have we got a thumbs down already? I love it. Let me check. Oh no, it's gone. I love it. Someone must have accidentally done it. I think that's what happens. Casper said A-mount rules. Photomix saying no, it doesn't, basically. He's saying A-mount is dead. Mark said, I've just done the update, but so far there is really no change that I can see. It is about stabilization. Well, yeah, we just don't know, do we? That's the problem. I mean, we just don't know sort of what it is when they talk about stability and everything else. It could be anything. Casper said recalls are in effect for Nikon. I'm going to talk about that shortly, actually. Iron to Brown says, Photomeg, how is Tash? Yeah, how is Tash and the baby? Will said Nikon died today. The next game changer is when Sony releases Insect IAF. It probably will happen. If you're shooting macro and stuff, it's probably going to happen. Dean said, on Facebook groups, other Facebook groups have reported the AF being slower. Oh, interesting. Again, I think it's user-specific as some haven't noticed any change. I'm holding off a bit longer before I update. Oh, let me just check. Someone gave me a donation. Leslie gave me $5. Hi, David. Thumbs up. What's happening with Adobe? Well, we don't know anything yet that's happening with Adobe. You're talking about the price increases, Leslie? Well, they've said at this stage that they're only testing that update, the money that was there. And I think there was only some Canadians that have been hit with it. Apart from that, we haven't heard. So whether enough people have whinged about it that they've changed their mind. But they've also got that business happening too about saying that if you're using the older versions of their software that you could have the potential for being sued, which is, it's just getting crazy. And I don't know, I think Adobe is sort of out of control at the moment. I don't know what's going on with Adobe. The problem is we need another third party to produce something that can compete well. And we haven't really got that yet, and that's the issue. Thank you so much for the donation, though, Leslie. I really appreciate it. I won't go all the way back, I don't think. Where were we? I'll start around here, so sorry if I've messed up stuff. Gerald said, the US Sony Imaging Pro support does not hold you to the Pro Gear minimum list. Oh, okay, so you don't even have that. Well, we have here in Australia, but that's good you're saying that, Gerald. Peter said, okay, got it. Atom says, I wouldn't use the MC11 after a update to your camera firmware, and you could make the lens unreliable on a paperweight. Yeah, often you've got to wait, haven't you, for another MC11 update. Because it can break, or they can have other issues. So I suppose if you are using something like this, like your MC11 adapter, you may want to wait for Sigma to produce a new firmware update before you update your camera. If you're shooting with updated lenses, it's probably a great idea to hold off because it may affect the AF performance. Because they build those AF performances for the firmwares that are already there in the camera. So thank you for sharing that. That is actually quite important. Gerald says, I got right in the blind test because I knew the Sigma rendered warmer and the Sony color was cooler and more contrasty. The Sigma is quite warm, and I quite like that look about it, actually. Andre says, I'd pay $1,000 more just to get the orange G. Trev said, $1,000 cheaper so I could buy the Sigma lens and a big green egg for the price of the Sony. Well, I'll invite you over for a barbecue. Aria says he prefers the rendering of the GM. Mark said the MC11 was the game changer, and I'm glad I can adapt my Canon glass through this. I have the Sigma 135, by the way, and have amazing results. I agree with you, Mark. I've been surprised how well it's worked. It's been really good, and when you think it's on the adapter, I'm really pleased with it. The model is over the moon on it. Rebecca loves the images that I've taken. Peter says, would you pay $1,000 for the features? I love the Sigma art glass. Well, Peter, yes, I would. But that's me. But what I'm saying to you is that if you are, tight with money, and if you're in Australia, particularly with that price difference, the $1,000 could buy you another lens. So that's something you might have to consider. If you've got the money, I would get the G Master. But if you haven't got the money and you want almost identical quality, get the Sigma. You lose out on a few of those little features, but you're still getting an incredible lens. Watch Rebecca's video. I think the images are beautiful. So watch that video and you'll understand what I'm saying. The results you're getting from that lens are outstanding. And in the blind test, like I said, it was 50-50. People couldn't even pick which one was which. So I'd get that and then get another lens. But if you've got the money, obviously, go for the G Master. Andre says, anybody know some rumours about the very wide-angle prime lens? No, we still haven't heard anything about that yet, but it is something they need to do, though. Sam's here as well. Oreo said, it'd be really interesting in a 135mm autofocus comparison in dark interior. Yeah, I think that would be an interesting test, Oreo, and I've got to take this back on Monday, but I might see if I can try it just to find somewhere that I can give it a go. But I did do testing in my studio with dark backgrounds with the LED lights lit up, and the autofocus was incredible. I mean, on the adapted lens, it wasn't that I'd go, wow, it's that much slower, it wasn't workable. The G Master was a little bit faster, but not dramatically faster, so it's certainly workable. I'm DeBrown's just saying, what you doing? My homie is talking to someone else. Carl says the difference is 500 in the US. Waiting for the Sigma 70-200 2.8 for its first firmware update. Thumbs up is 47. Thank you so much. Now we're 68. Thank you so much for giving me the thumbs up, guys. Jason said, updated my A7 III and my A6 500 this morning. Firmware and Animal IF ISO seems to be improved. So that's what Panopticon has said. Trevor said, wow, it's been ages since the A7R2 got some love. Yeah, I know. That's the thing, though. I'm reluctant to do it in case if it breaks the Play Memories hack. If anyone's done it and they've got Play Memories hack, can you let me know? And then I'll feel safe to update it. But I don't want to break that no time limit. Mark said, I've just done an update, but so far there is no real change that I can see. Yeah, and that's what I would expect. Will says, Nikon died today. The next game changer is when Sony released... Oh, I've read that before. Oreo said, Sony said the A7S2 firmware update is not reversible, and I think it's the same with the R2. So I wouldn't attempt the update because if the hack is disabled, there's no way back. And yeah, and that's the issue. The thing is, my R2, I really haven't noticed any problems at all, Oreo. So I don't really feel the need to update it. It's a lot older camera. It seems to be dead stable. I wouldn't do anything on that camera that could break the Play Memories hack due to the fact that I love being able to, run that with no time recording limit. You can only do that on the A6 400 at the moment. So having that ability to do that on that camera is a big thing for me. So I won't do it unless someone tells me that, it will still work if you do the upgrade. So I'm with you, Oreo. I don't think I'll do it at this stage. I'm DeBrown says, one of my co-workers was talking about how I barely have eyebrows. I wonder what they'd say if they saw you, my negative brother. Oh, everyone always used to say, David, you've got no eyebrows. It's just that my hair is so blonde. They are there. What else have we got? Oops. Langston says, A9 or A7 III for hybrid shooter. Decisions, I get the A9. That's just me though, Langston. Altric, it's awesome, but it's like a functioning 150 to 600C before it had its big firmware boost. Seems to lock back and focus tracking. Oh, so you're saying the firmware with the MC11 has fixed that lens. I'm going to try and get the 150 to 600. I should be able to borrow that lens from C.R.Kennedy. So I'm going to try and get that because I'd love to try and do some birding stuff and things like that, some wildlife. So stay tuned. Photomix says, David, I enjoyed the Sigmas. They are huge though, but the image quality is top notch. I would buy the Nikon 105 over the Sigma, but I cannot see myself owning the Sigma 135 2.8. They are big. Yeah, that's the one thing. Don't forget too, though, that Sigma have said that they're going to redesign the lenses for the mirrorless mount. So it could be interesting to see what they bring out in the future. But we have to wait for that. So hopefully they'll release something that is smaller footprint. Langston says Adobe released a retouch light to speed through my cheaper clients. What else have we got before I move on? Photomix says, Mark, I can't go back to shooting 10-bit D-Log. It's amazing. Oh, not shooting 10-bit D-Log, yeah. Affinity Photos said, Zoe Moments, says, Affinity Photo and Designer is a very good alternative as well as DaVinci Resolve. And also Capture One or Lumiere, is it? Well, I use Final Cut, so the video editing side would not affect me. But I would hate to lose Photoshop because I'm so ingrained in using Photoshop and Lightroom that, yeah, I just haven't seen anything yet that, I really like the look of. Barry's just saying, hi. William said DJI launched the Osmo Action camera. I'm going to talk about that in one of the stories today. Someone sell me a 24G Master. Yeah, you can't get that here either. That's about it, I think. I think I'll skip. Gerald says, I have 3 Sigma lenses and love them, but I chose the 135GM. Love the declickable aperture, focus hole buttons, and less weight. Yeah, I can totally understand that, Gerald. Let's go down, and that'll be it. All right, so let's go to next story. Now, we're going to look at the Profoto, so please don't start slamming me when I start talking about this. Because I noticed that, and I'll show you the things in a second, but I noticed Profoto have just announced the A1X. I've known about this for a long time. I've actually known about this for probably 4 weeks, but I was under NDA, so I couldn't discuss it at all, which was killing me because I was dying to talk about it. So I have known about it for a while, and the announcement date was yesterday, so now I'm free to talk about it, which I'm really happy about. I am going to get a review unit, I believe, on Monday. So I will be able to then take it out and try it and, have a play with it and everything else and put up a video about using it. So I'm really excited about that. Can't wait. So really excited for that. So stay tuned. The light itself is very, very similar to this. Now, what they've done is they've changed the design to look more like the B1, that when you turn it on, you've got a very, very similar interface to looking at this. So, and I'll show you how it looked before and how they've changed it now. So, it's sort of very similar to I just love this thing. This is my favorite light modifier ever. I noticed there was a review about this, talking about the Godox version and also the Profoto B10. They were talking about that. I think it was the Godox AD400 Pro. But one of the comments that he made, it was Robert Hall, I think. One of the comments that Robert Hall made was that he talked about that the continuous light of these things wasn't really that usable. And I have to say I totally disagree with him, because this has changed the way I shoot. Having that ability to just basically click that on at any moment and then balance the color to go from blue to a warm, and then also control your power of that LED light. Has been a complete game changer for me. I'm using this more than I am the continuous light of this, more than I am the flash for things like weddings and things like that. So I am using this, and it really is quite powerful. I mean, really powerful. And then if you put the adapter on it, if you put the Magnum adapter on this, it is nuts how much more powerful this gets. So I disagree with a couple of things that Robert said when he went through that I've found that is the biggest game changer, and I'm sure Godox will do a version of that sooner or later, because when it does happen, you're going to then understand what I'm talking about, that having that ability to, say, shoot continuous light and flash, balance color, has changed everything for me. When I'm doing receptions now, I don't use flash at all. I do the whole reception using this. That's formal, that's speeches, that's going around grabbing every photo of guests and everything. I put it in a softbox, a 2-foot octa, Kerry's holding it usually on one side, and I just go around and shoot in daylight. Brilliant. And it certainly has changed the way that I shoot. So I noticed that the new A1X has a very similar look. So let's just have a look here, and I'll show you what I mean. So it's been announced. Now it is available. Before we do that, I'll tell you which cameras it's available for Sony. So it is available for the Sony A99 II. It's also available for the Sony A9, the A7R3, A7R2, A7S2, A7 III, A7 II, and the A6 500. Now I can also tell you that it also works with other cameras as well, because I know, well, the A1X might not, but my Profoto B10 will. I'm sure the others will. It works with my A6 400, A6 300, and anything else that I use it with. But the main difference too is that it now does 450 power flashes per charge, and it's a 1 second recycle time. So it is very quick. I think the Godox is 1.5. So if you are shooting very, very quick, it can make a difference. And there's an AF autofocus assist, but it runs from laser. So there isn't a laser AF assist inside there, and a modeling light. And like I said, the main difference is the interface now has changed a little bit. I believe the head at the top is a bit more smooth compared to the previous one. And that's how it's changed. So the previous version of this it looked like that. So it's much more digital, and you can see now that it has gone very, very close to what the Profoto B10 has gone like. So it looks beautiful. The interface is beautiful, and I have to say the way that it works is just gorgeous, but you're paying for that feature, obviously. And then it is very similar, I suppose, also to what the Godox works with, the attachable adapters and things like that. But looks like it's going to be a really nice light. Now, I talked about this with Aaron the other day, that I don't think that the two markets are completely different, and I discussed this the other day, and for some reason, I don't know what it is about photographers, but they immediately slam things that are higher spec, even though they do similar jobs. They'll tear it to pieces without thinking about, but hang on, there probably is a market for this dearer product, just like if you buy a cheap watch as against a really expensive watch. You wouldn't go crook at someone for buying a really expensive watch and say, yes, but it's still, they both tell the time. Well, that's true, but no one really carries on like that. But for some reason, photographers just tend to slam everything. And it does annoy me a little bit, because I think we should be encouraging companies to innovate. And that's one of the great things about this, that if there is higher-ended products out there, if you don't like it, you don't have to buy it. And I don't understand the hate, and this is the interesting thing about it, that wherever you see something about Profoto posted, immediately the Godox people jump in and start saying, yes, but you can buy 4 versions of the Godox for the same price. Well, we know that, and it's irrelevant really, because they're totally different markets. That if you're in the Profoto ecosystem, this makes complete sense, because this will also fire this. So if I put that onto my camera, it will also fire this at the same time. Because it becomes the remote. You can control 20, you have 20 channels that you can choose from. You can control all of my Profoto gear. As you know, I've got lots of Profoto gear, and I have. It will control all of my lights on different channels, different settings or whatever, right from that remote control. So if you come from the Profoto area, to have this really makes sense. And this is the thing that I don't think people understand. Yes, it is way more expensive than what you can get for Godox, but there's always marketplaces for higher-ended products. Why do you think Leica sells? Leica. I mean, that's the reason why they sell stuff. There is always a market for higher-ended gear. This won't kill Profoto, that Godox are releasing their light, because the people that were going to buy the Profoto A1 are not really in the market for that Godox. Just like the people who are in the market for the Godox aren't probably going to buy the Profoto. So I just wanted to talk to you about it from that aspect. You're paying for the design. When you're looking at the design of these flashes, you are paying for that industrial design that you're getting. It is a beautifully designed machine. The interface is beautiful, but boy, are you paying for that. And I understand that. And I wouldn't recommend that someone just going out and starting photography buys this Profoto A1. But at least now we have this for Sony, which is a fantastic thing. If you don't want to buy it, don't bag it, just don't go and buy it. Just like someone buys a dear car and others will buy a cheap car. You don't bag that person that buys that dearer car. So I don't know what it is about the hate in the photography community. I really don't understand it. That, you know, we should be encouraging everyone. It's like one photographer can charge $100 for an image. Another photographer can charge $5,000 for an image. You don't bag that photographer for charging $5,000. You just say good on you because you can charge $5,000. I don't understand the hate. I really don't. But anyway, it's just something that's there. And it's always bugged me, the hate in our industry, that the second someone innovates and charges more, they start to bag it. And I think it really needs to change because we should be encouraging innovation. Anyway, that's really all I'm going to say about that. Apart from that, it looks like a great light. It really does. If you have the money and you're in the Profoto system like me, it seems to be that it would be a great product. I'm not sure whether I'll buy this because I very rarely use on-camera flash now. And that's the thing for me. I'm more happy with using this stuff off camera. I've nearly always got an assistant with me. If I haven't got an assistant, I will have this tripod, on a light stand, and I'll be using it on a light stand off camera. So I really don't know if I'll buy it because, like I said, I very rarely ever even take my Sony flashes out. I've got two of them. I mean, I may sell, perhaps. I might sell the two Sony flashes and then buy this flash, for instance. That may be something that I could do. Apart from that, though, I don't really see the real need for me to have it. Now, if you didn't have all of the lighting that I've got and you want to work minimalistically, shoot with on-camera flash and stuff like that, I would buy this in a heartbeat. And that's the thing. It's just the way I've now started to shoot. I've changed the way that I shoot now with using on-camera flash. But I'm certainly getting a version of this, I think on Monday. So I will show you. I'll bring it home, unbox it, and show you what the light looks like and everything else. And then I'll do some reviews in the coming weeks with how this works. So can't wait. Really looking forward to that. So let me just open up the chat to see what people are saying. Hopefully people aren't going berserk. Where was the next story? There we go. So Hero says, awesome. I can't wait to check it out. Langston says, anyone here have recommendations on production software like stuff for organising shot lists, scripts? No, because I don't do that, Langston, but someone may have something about that. Sammy said, it works great on the A9. Curious how well it will work on the A6 400. Oh, you're talking about the Sigma 150 to 600. Yeah, I'm trying to get that lens, and I have asked for it. I'm really excited to try a really long focal length, so hopefully I can do a review for you guys. Hero says, I'll be posting pics on the Instagram and make a video. Gonna go to the Lion Country Safari and Miami Zoo. Yeah, I might even go to the zoo when I get that lens as well and try it out. Mark said, I have the A6 500 and use that combination, but prefer my A7R, of course. Hero says, yes, that A7R is an amazing camera. I think I'll dive back into the full frame when the A7R4 comes out. That's probably the one that I'll get as well. Panopticon says, awesome about the Sigma 150 to 600, David. I got my first test with it on the MC11 with the A7 III at UK Bird Fair last year at the Sony stall. It's faster than I've ever worked on Canon. That's why I'm excited to try it out. Oreo said the Profoto looks fantastic. I'd love one. And the people who bash Profoto because they're expensive are just silly, and being silly is worse than being poor. I agree, I just don't understand the hate. Because something's dearer doesn't mean you just don't have to buy it. That's how I look at it. I mean, I look at other things like Leica and I think, wow, you know, that's so expensive. But I don't bag that product because it's that expensive. I just don't buy it. I don't understand the hate. Hero says, I need to get my video editing skills up. I want to be a YouTube star like Lord Oastler. Thanks. Mark said, so the Profoto trigger is not getting an update. Well, I don't know. It probably will. I keep hearing rumors that they're going to update the trigger itself, but I like the Air Remote. There's a couple of things that bug me about the Profoto though, and this is why I tell you guys I'm always honest, and they should act like Godox in that regard, that you can't see your power settings on the remote. So I don't understand why. I think it's something to do with it's done in Bluetooth or something like that. So they need to develop a new remote that shows you your power settings. Like, you know, if you're on power 10, like if you change your power settings on here, like when I change the power settings on here, I mean, I can see it on my iPhone. That shows fine. So it's using Bluetooth to communicate with my Profoto. So that's there. But you can't see this power setting on your remote, which you should be able to do. And I think they must need to develop a new remote for that. It will probably show it on the A1 though. That may work. I don't know. But so you won't see that. All you see is that you hear an audible sound that it's going up and down. So you can press minus and up and everything else, but you just don't know what you're on. And that's one of the only things that I don't like about the Profoto unit. So I've got a feeling they'll probably create a new remote that has that built into it. So you can see the power settings. But you know, we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, that's not there at the moment, which is a bit crazy. I've never had a problem with it because I don't need it. I just look at the result and I'll know whether I've got to go up or down. What else are people saying? Langston said it's not about being poor, it's about the intelligent allocation of resources. Tony said, have you seen the video of Dave McKeegan talking about Andy Rouse, Canon ambassador, possibly testing that? Yes, I have. Let me just come down because someone's just given a donation. Oh, thank you so much, Ian Brown. I bagged this channel because I'm compelled to donate to support the channel. Thank you so much. Where were we? Yes, I did see that. But it's only rumours. Dave McKeegan is saying that he saw a Canon that... no, Dave McKeegan is... Andy Rouse, yes, the Canon ambassador, took a photo and he was saying something about it had 30 frames per second and other stuff. So he was trying to guess that it was another A7000. But yeah, it was an interesting video. Have a check of it out if you want to sort of see what he's talking about. I mean, he's just guessing, I suppose. He just thinks, could this be another A7000? I mean, it may be an Olympus, because the Olympus can already do 30 frames per second. I believe one of their cameras will do that if you're dealing in silent shutter. So there's others on there saying it's an Olympus that he was using. We just don't know. Profoto really should have remote adjustment by now. You can adjust it, Mark. You just can't see what the figure is. I'll show you the remote. I'll show you what it looks like. I mean, the remotes are really beautiful. So this is the remote. Now you'll notice that there is a plus or minus here. That's how you adjust your power. But the problem is that if I connect this, all right, and I'll just do a test. All right, so it fired. You can't see the power that it is set on. So that is the issue with Profoto at the moment. Now, if I connect my phone, let me see if this just works. All right, so if I connect my phone, you'll see that shows what the power setting is. So if I turn this up, see, it's turning. So it works. So it works through the phone. I should go there so you can see what I'm doing. It works through the phone. Where are we? There. It will certainly work through the phone. Let me see if I can just turn it so you can see it. Update. Oh, it's this one. I've got to try and get to it. All right, so it'll work through that. So you can use your phone if you wanted to use that as the trigger. And it's also saying there's an update. This is another amazing thing about this. There's a firmware update for this lens, for this light. and I can do it through my phone. This is incredible. I mean, I love that aspect of how the Profoto works. So I can update the firmware through here. It's saying there's update VA7. That's got an update for the A9, I believe, and a couple of other things that are out there. I can turn on the continuous light if I want to. Now you'll notice it has a little continuous light there. Now if I click on that, let me just see if I can do it for you. See, I can press that, turn it on, turn it off. I can also adjust. You'll notice too that I can also adjust the color and also the power of the continuous light. Now I use this a lot because Kerry sometimes is holding this, or it's on a light stand if I'm doing a wedding, and then basically what I do is let me just turn it off. I will control the power and the color intensity and everything from my phone. So I can just have it quickly there, set it so it all looks right at a distance, and it all works beautifully. So it's a great setup. But like I said, the only thing they can't do is show you the power on this, which is annoying because I would love them to have that setting on there. But yes, you can control how much power's there, but you don't know what power you're on unless you use your iPhone. I'm sure it will come. I'm sure eventually one of these will be released with Bluetooth in it so that you can connect to the camera and you'll get that. It's just a matter of time, I'm sure. Let me quickly go down. Yeah, they do have fan. They do have a remote adjustment. I'm just trying to see. Jason said, can you tell me what the craze is with the round head speed lights? I just don't get it. Well, the craze is it gives a softer fall off. That's the thing, Jason. Rather than having your normal flash, which is square, a round head gives a much softer fall off. You probably won't see any difference if you're talking about it shooting a model or whatever. But if you shoot it against a brick wall, which you know I just don't do, the round head gives a much nicer fall off overall. That's really the only difference. What else? Gerald says, I would never hate Profoto. They make incredible gear, very innovative and a true leader. My Godox Flashpoint Lights 8 work well for me and fits into my budget. Now, the other thing that I have to say too is that, and you have to understand how well Profoto work in this regard. Profoto announced this was released yesterday and they already had it in stock. Now, that is a massive difference with how a company like Profoto will work. That it will be in stock the day it's announced. I could have gone out yesterday and purchased the A1 from the stores here in Melbourne. And that's how they'll work. And I know a lot of people were messaging me saying they've ordered it and they're getting it tomorrow. We're still waiting on the V1. What has it been? Nearly 12 months that has been sort of rumoured to be coming out, and it's still not been shipped yet. So that is one of the big differences there of how the two companies work. So you are paying for that, but Profoto are terrific in when it's released. It will be out very, very quickly after that, that day. Let me just go back to this and then we'll go on to the next story. That's about it, I think. I'll just read James because he's highlighted me. How does your DH Osmo Pocket working out for you? Well, you know what, James? I've hardly used it. I keep saying that, but I've hardly used it. I haven't had the time. And I may get the Osmo Action when I come to the US. I'm seriously thinking about purchasing that to take there with me so I can do some stuff with it on my trips over to the US in Feb. And I'll probably take my Pocket as well. I have to use it more, James. I have to be honest. I do love it, but I just don't use it much. And that's about it. I think I'll just go. All right, let's go on to the next story. Langston says, is the app iPhone only? I'm not sure, Langston, whether it's available on Android. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, well, Langston's saying almost nobody has things in stock at release. Yeah, I could have bought it yesterday here local. So, we have it here. And I know a lot of people have said to me yesterday that they ordered it yesterday and they're getting it delivered today. And that's in the US. Gerald says the V1s are in stock at Adorama in the USA, so they're just starting to ship out now, are they, Gerald? But like I said, how long it's taken a long time, hasn't it, Gerald? It's been, nearly 12 months or something that's been on the go. And all right, let's go to the next story. Now, I wanted to talk about this just quickly because I discussed this on Aaron's show the other day when we were on with Aaron, I mean. The Tamron, it looks like it's pretty bad news if you're waiting on the Tamron. Saren said, no, I'm going to get the Osmo Action. I won't be getting the RX02. I'm getting the RX. I'm getting the Osmo Action, I think. The Tamron 17-28 pre-orders are now going to open mid-year, 2019. So it looks like we're going to have to find, we're going to have to wait until September. It's saying down here that, small bad news, it will take 1 to 2 months before Tamron will open up pre-orders in mid-2019. So that's a problem. It looks like, you're not going to get it until September, October. So this is way behind what we had with the 17 to the 28 to, what was it? The 24 to 70 or whatever. No, 28 to 75. I was getting confused with lenses. So it's behind that because I think we got that in around about June. That was released. I know I reviewed it in May or late May, I think, and it was actually released in June. And this might be the reason why I haven't been contacted about reviewing one, because there probably isn't that many around at this stage. So it looks like we're still going to be a few months away, guys, from having that lens, which is a bit of a bummer. I think they're probably still having trouble with orders with the 28 to 75. This is going to, if you do want to get this lens, please pre-order it, because if you don't pre-order it, the date comes out, I think you're going to be waiting a long time. We had the other one, which was 12 months, and even now it can be still hard to get. So my suggestion is, if you want the 17 to 28 mil, pre-order it. But you can't even pre-order it yet. You can't pre-order it until mid-year, apparently. This isn't good news also for a 70 to 200. I think now it's probably going to be late next year before we get that as well, because I can't see Tamron releasing another lens this year. If this is going to be announced and released in September, October, September, I can't see them announcing another lens this year. I think we're probably going to get one announced a similar time next year for release mid-year to the end of next year for a 70 to 200. So that's that one. I'm going to keep going because we've been on for a while. I just wanted to show this as well. The Samyang lens. I wanted to show this as a size comparison. Gee, Samyang are kicking goals. The 85 1.4 looks like it's a really nice lens. But I just wanted to show the size comparison of how small this is, this 45. Really tiny. This is the 35 2.8. This is the 45 1.8, which is the new one. This is the 14mm 2.8, and this is the 35 1.4. That's the Sony lens, which is, really, that's what I'm using now, actually, to film me here. But nice and small. So if you are after the 45mm lens, this could be a great option. And the thing is, the 45mm focal length apparently is the perfect eye. So it's like what you're looking at. It's that field of view. It gives you that perfect field of view of what a human will see. So I just wanted to share that with you to show how it looks. You can see it fits nicely on the smaller cameras. This is an A5 100. Beautiful. I mean, looks really good, and I'm sure the quality is going to be really nice as well. They're not saying, it's not dear either. I think I read somewhere that it was around $300 odd, $390. I can't remember. You can pre-order this lens now. Let's just check. I won't open that. I'll just open up Focus Camera. You're not meant to show prices from Adorama and stuff, and B&H, I don't believe. $3.99. So it's actually $3.99 at the moment if you want to pre-order it. Good, nice, interesting. If you're into that, if you want that focal length, what a great focal length it is. Let's skip on now to the Z6 and Z7. Phonomeic will probably like this or may not like it, I don't know. In here, I noticed yesterday that they've done a recall of the vibration reduction feature in certain cameras. Now, this may not be a good sign for Nikon, though, because I remember they had heaps of problems with a couple of their other cameras. I had to send mine back a number of times due to an oil leak. That was I think it was the D610. But they've also had a few problems with the, I think it was a D750 or something, where they've had to send that back. Often, if it's something like this where it's a feature with vibration or mechanical parts that have been used in these cameras, I wouldn't be surprised if this number gets larger over a period of time, that they start to find that for more serial numbers it becomes an issue. But it's not good. I mean, look, these things happen, and at least Nikon have been honest about it and say, send it back, we'll fix it for you. But, you know, it's not nice when it happens. But there it is. So it's obviously a problem with something to do with the stabilization. This vibration reduction VR feature has had a problem. I'm just seeing what they're saying about... Nikon has resolved this by making available corrective service for affected Z6 and Z7 cameras free of charge, including the cost of shipping, and affected Z6 and Z7 camera to Nikon as well as its return, even if your Z6 or Z7 warranty has expired. So at least they're... I just noticed Casper said Nikon loses. Oh, here we go. Casper and Photomic are going to start fighting over this. But you can check your camera serial number if you want to. That's down here. So you can check that. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to get worse. I noticed down here that, see, it's the D750 has had heaps of issues with flare and stuff like that and shading from the shutter. So they haven't had a good run with a lot of their cameras lately, and it's a bit sad when companies are starting to struggle a little bit and then they have issues like this, because any bad publicity is not good in that regard. But anyway, so at least they're fixing it free of charge, which they should, obviously, even if it's out of warranty. And you don't have to pay to get it shipped back, but it's a nuisance because you lose the camera while it's away. So that's that. Now, on also the Z6, I'm going to talk about the IAF. Jared Poland put out a really good video that I watched this morning. It was probably last night that it came out. But it looks like their IAF, they've done a really good job, Nikon, with this update that they've done. It also, I believe, goes down to -6 EV for low light focusing. So they've kicked some goals there on low light, which is really great. But when I watch Phronos, and you need to go and watch it yourself, the Sony is still a clear winner if you're looking at them. But I would expect that if you think about the amount of time Sony has been developing IAF, I think Nikon have done a very good job for just doing this in their first camera. And, you know, I have to commend them. And good on Nikon for doing that. It did have a little bit of trouble with the Mac Granger syndrome, which is focusing on the trees in the background. And it also had a little bit of trouble focusing on the eyelashes rather than the eye. But I wouldn't be surprised if Nikon sort of checks this or does further updates later on that would give you the ability to improve this. Whether they can improve the tracking dialer box anymore will be interesting to see, because the processor may not be able to take it. We don't know what processors are in these cameras, so that could also be a limiting factor as well. You still can't beat the Sony IAF. If you look at the size of when you look at the girl that was walking and running and stuff like that, the size of the IAF icon was really small on the Sony compared to, say, the Nikon, which was really quite large and jumping sort of all over the place. And the Canon had trouble sort of showing really anything due to the fact that I think it's the processor was working. But look, you at least you've got to give Nikon and Canon credit that they are developing this technology. And I think over probably the next versions of these cameras, whenever they come out in a couple of years, will do much better in IAF. But then who knows what Sony's going to have by that time as well. And the interesting thing was the test that he did was only the A7 III. It wasn't the A9. So the A9 would have been another league ahead of that as well. I certainly would be a bit worried if I was using it on the Nikon, though, the way it was jumping to the trees in the background. That would worry me a little bit. Also, how it was focusing on the eyelash. The thing with the Sonys is that I've found that it's rock steady reliable. And that's the thing. It is so reliable that I'm so confident now with just shooting with IAF that I never have to worry about it anymore. There was a couple of interesting things, though, that I noticed, and one where the Nikon and the Canon beat the Sony was that if you worry about focus breathing, the 70-200 G Master definitely had focus breathing, and I saw that a couple of times in the test where you can see the edge of the video move as she got closer. So the Sony 70-200 G Master definitely has focus breathing, whereas the Canon and the Nikon didn't have any focus breathing at all. So that's a plus for Nikon and Canon if you're worried about that, which can affect videographers, obviously, because they're the ones that hate that focus breathing. Doesn't matter so much for stills. But I think if you look at it all in all, at this stage, you'd have to say that the Sony is well ahead. I mean, well ahead if you look at that result. And check out Jared Poland's video and you'll see what I mean. But they're certainly getting better and usable. But you just haven't got that confidence in using the Nikon and the Canon as you have against the Sony. And that's the thing that I love so much about using the Sony in weddings and events and things like that, where I can safely say that I am almost 100% confidence that it's going to get that eye when I click on it. And that's one thing that you just can't beat that at this stage. But an interesting comparison. At least they're developing it, so good on Sony. So I'm sure Photomedic will be happy about that. And the last story before we open up Q&A is this. I wanted to just mention this DJI Osmo Action camera. Looks really good. Again, it's horrible for GoPro in some ways because it's so close to their design as well, and but I don't know. But I may buy this. The only reason why this interests me more than the GoPro is due to the fact of the front-facing screen, because I can use it for my YouTubing stuff and things like that. So I do really like that. The color, from what I've seen in reviews, the color of the GoPro looks slightly nicer, I thought. But having that front-facing screen really interests me more than anything. And I think the stabilization seemed to be much better than what the GoPro was. And that's another thing that I'd love to try this as well. I mean, I think this may be more. I don't know. I'd love to know your opinion about this, but I think the sales this may hurt a lot is the Osmo Pocket. I mean, what do you guys think about that? But if I'd seen this before I bought the Osmo Pocket, I probably would have bought this camera than the Osmo, because when you looked at, say, Kai, when he was doing his review, that he was walking with this handheld, running with this handheld, and the footage was incredibly stable. I mean, ridiculously stable. He actually said that it was the most stable footage that he'd seen without using a gimbal. And, I think in a lot of ways, I wish I'd bought this rather than getting the Osmo Pocket, but it wasn't available at that time. But I'd probably have way more use for the Osmo Action than I would over the Osmo Pocket. So I'd love to know what you think about this. What you think about that in the comments, in the chat. But it looks really nice. It looks like it's quite a nice design. I think it has screw-in ND filters that go over the top. It is waterproof straight away, so you can just use it in the water as it is, which is great. A great touch screen. I don't believe the front is a touch screen though, but the back screen is. But looks like it's a really nice unit. Really nice unit. Like I said, I'm thinking about buying this, particularly for my trip to the US when I come out to see you guys in LA and Vegas and San Francisco. So stay tuned for that. If I get it, I'll review it and stuff. Earl just gave me a donation too. Hey David, have we talked about the new firmware? Yes, I did, Earl. It was right at the beginning. So if you do want to go back, once we finished here, it's the first story that I came up with actually. But it looks great. How many of you guys are thinking about purchasing this little device? I think it's really good. It's about, I think it was $100 cheaper here than the GoPro. So that's going to hurt GoPro. I've got the version 3, I think, or version 4, I think, of the GoPro. It might be version 4. So I am due for an update, but I think I'll probably get this now. Like I said, particularly due to the better stabilization and that front touch-facing screen. Hope it doesn't really hurt GoPro that much, but I'm not sure that it won't. So I'd love to know your opinion about that. So let me open up to chat, and we'll have a quick talk through here before I hop off and get a coffee. Langston says, why no 70-200? Yeah, well, I don't think we're going to see that now until next year, Langston, with Tamron, because particularly now that they're so late with releasing that 17-28mm, which is a bummer. Jim said thumbs up. Yes, please. I'd love if you could give me a thumbs up, guys. Tim said, any suggestions on a budget prime or zoom lens? Well, I think there's quite a few out there that I haven't got any. So that's the thing. I can't recommend anything I haven't used. So if people in the chat would like to give Tim a hint on what you would recommend for a wide angle 16mm, it's an alternative to the Tamron 17-28. There's some Samyang lenses that I've heard are really good though, Tim, as well. But others in the chat may be able to suggest something as we go down. Jason said, I'm more interested in the 70-200 than a wide angle. Yeah, so am I. But now, you know what? Now that I've got this, I seriously am thinking almost about not taking my 70-200 to weddings anymore and just using this. The separation that you get from the G Master 135 is out of this world, and you know, I think that I might start using that rather than take my 70-200 now. Tim said, I'm happy with the 16-35 f4. Well, I've got that lens and I love it too, and I also love this little thing. You know, I love this little lens. Don't underestimate this little beauty. This 10-18. You can use this on full frame at 12-16. Yes, it's a little soft at the edges, but fantastic little lens. I love it. It's a great little lens. Oh, by the way, too, let me just show you this. I did get them finally. I got my little Rode mics, and I used it on the video I did with Rebecca the other day. So I finally got them. I've been hanging out. You're going to laugh, but I got this from B&H Photo because I was sick and tired of waiting. So I ordered them from the US, and then the next day they came from my Australian distributor. So, oh, I couldn't believe it. So anyway, I've got them, and I used it in the video that I did with Rebecca. And honestly, it is game-changing a lot, but it is game-changing how easy this is to set up for a YouTuber. Fantastic. Just turn it on, plug it in, and off you go. It's fantastic. So small, you know, and if you've got a black t-shirt like what this is, it's minimal to plug in because it's got the internal. I'm always breaking the lav mics, always breaking those lav mics. And to have one that's built in, and then you can just put it into your top like this. You know, they don't look bad at all. Oh, it's this way. So I'm really happy with it. Really am. The only thing is it makes it drop down a bit there. But it would work straight away, and then you can just go and you haven't got to worry about anything else. So fantastic. And, you know, if you've got a jacket or something like that, you can always pin it to the side of the jacket, you know, and stuff like that. But I love these. 7 hours battery life. Incredible. Let me just pack that away. Let me go back to the chat. PhotoMX says, James, DJI makes an overpriced audio adapter that connects to the Osmo. Yeah, there's an audio adapter that's available. I've been trying to buy that, but I haven't been able to buy it from anywhere. That's one thing that's slowed me down from using it, and PhotoMX, I can't get that. I keep going to the DJI store. They're never in stock. Michael says, any guess how good the 17-28 might be for Astro? I think it'll be very good. I expect the lens to be fantastic. The 28-75 is amazing, so I would think that the 17-28 will be equally as good. $40 for the USB-C audio adapter. Yeah, I think it's around about $60 to $80 here. PhotoMX, so it's expensive. I hate the way they do that. It really annoys me that you could build that in and they just force you to buy proprietary stuff. That's one bad thing about DJI. PhotoMX says, I already checked my Z6, I'm good. Jim says, Nikon, that's the thing, yeah. PhotoMX says, Nikon has an issue, Nikon fixes it for you. Exactly, they do, and I agree with you. Sony has an issue, here buy a new model. Well, they don't, PhotoMX. My A9 got recalled back. I haven't sent it back yet. It got recalled because of the hot shoe. There's a problem with the hot shoe in some models where I believe that I'm not sure what it is, whether this can come off or something or whatever. It can come off. So I did get a recall unit for that. It's the only one I've had for the Sony though. So all I have to do is call Pro Support, send it off, and they'll replace it and send it back to me. So they do fix it. So it's not true that they'll just buy a new model. Carl says the Nikon IAF can cause blindness. Nikon will shut down soon. I hope not, Casper. Carl says Nikon did a good job on the IAF, much better than expected. They did a good job on it. Oreo said Nikon's cameras issues are typical of companies that are underfinanced and short on personnel. They have had a lot lately though. Like I said, the D750 was a disaster. And I had to send my D610 back for that oil spills. I think that was 2 times I had to send that back. It was leaking oil onto the sensor. What else? Casper said he gives Nikon another year. He's just having a go at Photomiac. James said, Photomiac, you are correct. Nikon will fix it. Sony will make you buy a new camera. Sammy Photography said, yay, just check my Z6 serial number. Mine is not affected. Yeah, but keep checking, guys, because you might find that they add more later on. That's what happened with the D750. It was a small uptake first, and then the numbers kept growing and growing. So just be careful. No videographer would use a photographic zoom lens to shoot videos. I know a few that do, though, Oreo. I have seen that quite a lot, believe it or not. So I don't think that's true. Jim said, oh, that's it. Langston said GoPro has been warned for years. Yeah, I hope they survive out of this, but you know, it's not looking good, I don't think, when you look at what that product is. Gerald says, I really think I may get the DJI Osmo Action camera and use it underwater for my scuba diving. Yeah, I don't blame you. Like I said, I'm definitely thinking about bringing it to the USA so I can stick it on the car and do other things, you know, while I'm traveling. James said, would you use the Osmo Action more than your Osmo Pocket? Well, probably, because the thing is that the Osmo Pocket, you can't, and I did this when I travel around New Zealand. That's where I use my GoPro. I got the suction cup, stuck it on the car window, and then I shot footage of me driving through these beautiful mountains and valleys and things, riding bikes and stuff like that. The Osmo Pocket's not designed for that because it's not all internal. If you're getting wind, it will pressure the gimbal and you'll see that movement, whereas the Osmo Action is much better for anything, obviously, to do with movement, anything to do with action, with wind and stuff like that. So you'd probably get more use out of the Osmo Action than you would an Osmo Pocket. That's why I'm saying I think this will affect the Osmo Pocket sales as well. GoPro Hero 8 is coming soon. Yeah, so that could be interesting to see what they offer there. GoPro have got to look at their pricing though a little bit, because Andre, because it is a little bit, like I said, it's $100 dearer here in Australia, and that's going to hurt them. So they are going to have to look at that, I think. Oreo said, photographic zooms are often affected by focus breathing. Yeah, but you could see the Canon and Nikon weren't in that case, Oreo, though. Have a look at the video and you'll see it when they're doing those ones where the person's walking towards the camera and the bike rider. Thanks for the donation, Earl. Mark said, wondering if the Osmo Action comes with video time restrictions. Yeah, I don't know. Ian DeBrown says, I agree. I would not have gotten the Osmo Pocket if I had any idea the Osmo Action was on the horizon. Yeah, I'm a bit bummed because it cost me $600. Yeah, but I don't know what the market's going to be for the Pocket now. And let me know in the chat and even below, guys, whether you think I'm right on this. But I think this will hurt the Osmo Pocket as much as it will hurt GoPro. Photomiac, I basically... it's basically a GoPro clone with a DJI logo. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Langston said, yes, but it doesn't mean the videographer won't use them, especially for run and gun shoots. I see them using, because I do weddings, I see them using zoom lenses all the time. Oreo said, the Osmo Action will have to beat GoPro 7 stabilization and it won't be easy. Well, from what I've seen, it does. It definitely looks a bit smoother. But let's see what happens. Like I said, GoPro 8's coming out, so hopefully not too long away. Does the latest A7 firmware delete your memory presets? I haven't done it, but I haven't heard of anyone saying it has. I wouldn't think so. It was only that major upgrade that did that. Let us know in the chat if it keeps your presets. I'm sure it does, because otherwise someone would have already mentioned it. Sammy Photography says, I pre-ordered it today, should get it early next week. I will let you know if I like it over my GoPro 7. Thanks so much for that. Photomiyuk, you got the Osmo Pocket too, didn't you? Do you regret buying that now, and have you used it? Just curious to know. Gene said, slightly different usage with the Osmo Pocket and the Action, i.e. time-lapse with start and end points, etc. DJ, I also think too that the Osmo Action hasn't got the, not time-lapse, what is it where it does when you're moving and you do the shots? Oh, I've gone blank. Someone will tell me in the live chat. It's like time-lapse, but you're moving. You know, you carry it over a distance and you do your shots as it's actually moving. Someone will tell me. But it hasn't got that, I don't think, the Osmo Action. It's got time-lapse, but it hasn't got that other feature. Lakeson says, DJI has been coming for GoPro's lunch for a while. Yep. Tony says, talking about gimbals, anybody with the Weebill Lab from Zhiyun? I'm looking for a mount plate system more convenient than one that comes with a Weebill to change from a video to photo easier. Yeah, no, I haven't used that. I've been totally with the Moser system, which I love. And I've recently just bought that one. So I recently just bought this little beauty. This is unreal, this one. It's a bit heavy, but boy, do I love it. The main reason I like this over the Aircross, but there's a new version of the Aircross coming out too, hopefully I'll be able to get to review that, is the fact that the base plate on this just plugs in and it's already balanced straight away, so it's lockable. So once this is set, I can take the camera off and put it back in and it's all balanced straight away. I love that feature. It was the only thing that I didn't like about the Aircross that I had was every time you take your camera off, and remember I'm doing Fusion, which is stills and video at the same time, every time I took the camera off I had to rebalance it. Well, I no longer have to do that with the Moser Air 2 because it's set and it's locked in. So it's fantastic. I love that design of it. Photomix said they stole the entire design just like how Godox stole from Profoto. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Jim said, thumbs up, please. Let's shoot for 100. What are we? We're 83. You never know, we might make it. Thanks for saying that, Jim. James said, sometimes stealing works out better. Look at Windows stole from the Mac. Villas said, hello, for the time-lapsing camera. Want to update camera, how to do? Well, you'd have to, there's things online about that. It's too hard to explain that here. If you Google on YouTube, upgrade firmware, you'll find there's stacks of stuff on there. Sony give you documents that take you right through it. You just have to follow it word by word, and that works okay as well. What else have we got? Langston says, I don't know, box with lens and screen, not much you can do there, like cell phones, all candy bar and form factors. What else? Rode Australian, yes, it is, Mark. Rode is a good Australian company. I cannot find those mics in stock anywhere. It's been so hard for me to get them. I'm wrapped now. I've got 2 versions of them, but that's good because I'll be able to say if I'm doing interviews and stuff like that now, I can just plug them in, or I've got a spare one in case if I need it. Those wireless go are the real thing. They are. I honestly think that this is one of the best purchases I've made. Just to have that feature. I love the built-in display. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, what a great industrial design if you're looking at how these things work. Let me just turn them on and I'll show you how the screen works because it's just brilliant. So you just hold it for 3 seconds and then it'll turn on. Well, face detector is always so hard to fool on this camera. Now if I turn this one on, so I'll hold that for 3 seconds and then it's on. And you'll see now that it's, I've got to hold my face again. So testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2. So you can see the LED working now. So it's picking up my voice. And you know, what a great system. And then turns off. You can leave that on all the time. It just dims to save battery, I suppose. But they last about 7 hours. You get 2 USB-C charging cables so you can charge them independently of one another. You can control the dB in this. So you've got 3 settings to control the dB. They're connected as you bring it out, they're connected, so they are already connected. You just turn them on and they're joined. And apparently it scans another free, it's a 2.8 gigahertz system, and it will keep scanning if it's interference and move to another one and they skip and jump. But brilliant system. And I mean, and the only thing I think is a bit of a letdown is that these windshields tend to fall off. I mean, they're magnetized, I think. Oh, where is it? Go. Oh, no, just on that side. These windshields are tending to fall off a bit. They are magnetized. Oh, but only just magnetized. Is that the right side? I don't know. I've never put them on. Oh, yeah, there you go. I don't even know if that one fit. Yeah, so they'll fit sort of on like that, but it's just held by a magnet, which they do supply 2 of them, but I reckon everyone's going to lose these. I mean, look how they only have a tiny little clip, which is in there, which is a couple of magnets that sit in. And like I said, I think if you're going to do this, they're just going to fall off. And I think that's a bit of a flaky design. They really, see, it's not even easy to put on. I'm not sure why they went with that system or how you could even get around it. I don't know. Anyway, that's one part I don't like. And I think everyone's going to lose them. So that's the only thing with that. Let me come down here. Gerald says, my Rode mics are still on back order at Adorama, leaving for a trip, shoot 5th to 24th the 5th. Hope I'll get them before I go. Oh, okay. Hopefully you will. Photomix says, may have fallen from Grace Xerox. Oh, he's talking about Xerox and Max. Laxon said, would make on-set audio so much easier than having an XLR. It does. That's the thing. These are so easy to use. It's fantastic. Just plug them in and it goes. They just click on your camera with the, putting that mic mount there is incredible. What else have we got? Yeah, that's true, James. A white version would be nice because then you could stick it, say, on a bride's dress and hide it. That's a great idea, and perhaps that's something that they'll do. Jose said, I follow your channel, but I'm clueless to the pronunciation. Oreo said, the absolute best for Astro is the Samyang Premium XP 14 f2.4 lens. Sharp corner to corner and no coma. Thank you, Oreo. So that's a great Astro lens if you did want to get into that. That's the Samyang lens. What else? Barbara says, I updated the A7 III and it did not delete my presets. So there you go. So it's not deleting presets. So if anyone was worried about that, let me just check. Kerry's trying to contact me. She wants to organise something. Do you want Burek for getting it for lunch? Okay. Let me just message Kerry because she's asking if I want something. I'll just say okay. All right, sorry about that. Kerry was asking me if I wanted some food. Langston says, I like the Osmo Pocket. Oh, Hyperlapse. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, I don't think the DJI has Hyperlapse, which the GoPro is so good at. So that's a feature. Now, whether they can bring that in firmware, they probably could, but it's missing, I believe, at introduction. So that's one thing that the GoPro's got over the Osmo Action is Hyperlapse. Langston says, I like the Osmo Pocket. I will likely wind up with both. For example, I can create jib shots, motion lapses, etc. Yeah, that's true. You can do that. You can have them on the poles and stuff, which are pretty cool. And also it has the tracking as well, which you can't do, obviously, in the Osmo Action. Yeah, everyone's saying hyperlapse. Langston says, yes, do that video so I can complain about the DJI shaking marketing again. Oh, he's talking to Photomiac. Tony says, Weebill is nice and very compact, but for Fusion, as you say, I find the plate uncomfortable. What else have we got? Tony said, I read that one. Langston said, shameless plug is saying Toya has been shooting some videos for his channel, has been patient AF letting me learn how. I'm not sure what he's talking about. Checking someone else's channel out. Langston said, they said that they had a fix for those windshields coming. Have they not said anything? Well, I haven't heard anything about it. I know they've said that, but it's not a very good system. It's really not. In fact, I would just wonder if it was windy whether they blow off. Gerald said, Rode has said they are redesigning the windshields to be more secure. Okay. Well, hopefully that's... I heard that. I heard that too somewhere, and they said they'd ship them out to everyone. I suppose you'll just have to send them a thing to say you've got it, like the receipt or something like that. Langston said, I love the 24105G. I think people here would agree. Yes, and I've heard lots of people. Gerald loves his 24-105 as well. Jim said, which source brings you the most business? Facebook, Instagram, word of mouth. Well, for me, Jim, word of mouth, I get the most business from. The next after that is Instagram. I definitely get more work from Instagram than I do from Facebook. Instagram is quite good for me, and I think a lot of young people now use Instagram more than Facebook, so that tends to be how that works. But definitely word of mouth for me is a big thing. I very rarely advertise. I do sometimes, but I very rarely do. Most of my work comes from referrals, which is amazing. Once you start working long enough and your referral network gets so big, it's the best way you can go, because your brides and stuff like that fight for you. You know, they'll be saying, no, David's the best photographer, use him and stuff like that. And word of mouth is a very, very important thing, and it works really well. So that's how what I do for that as well. 91, we're up to likes, guys. I'm going to finish. We're going to have coffee. I don't know whether we can quickly get to 100. Thanks so much, everyone. Please, if you haven't checked out Rebecca's video, have a look at it. I think it's beautiful. And I think you'll be surprised how well the Sigma went. And she's an amazing model. Really beautiful to work with. Flawless skin. Like, I've done very little retouching on her skin at all. Her skin is flawless. And the colours of autumn here in Melbourne were beautiful at that location I went to. It was quite challenging light because I actually shot, I think we started at 10 a.m. And most of the stuff you're seeing there is midday shooting. So thank you so much, Jim, for that. Really appreciate you giving me that donation. Yeah, it was really challenging light, and that's why I've used the Profoto to overpower the sun. I mean, you could use Godox, whatever you wanted to do the same thing. And I've even showed in a couple of examples where I've positioned the light so you can see how the shots that I'm getting were captured. So please check out Rebecca's video. It's the last one before this one. And I'm really proud of it. Like I said, stay tuned. I will put up a Sony version of that fairly soon. Because I wanted to keep them as two separate reviews. I might change the music or something so it's not exactly the same. But probably all I'll be doing is changing the images from the Sigma to the Sony version as well. So stay tuned for that as well. Thank you so much for the support. We're up to 96. I've got 4. Come on, let's do it. We've got 4 more to go. 96. We've got 4 to go. I'm going to hang around until we get 4. There's 1 down. Take that down off and give me the thumbs up. I love it. So stay tuned for that. Now, I will be doing a final summary of this probably over the weekend, so stay tuned for that, and I'll be talking about that. I've still got a shoot to put up with Chanel that I did. Have we made it yet? No, we're still 96. I've still got another video to put up of Chanel that I did in the studio. I've only shared one sneak peek of that. Chanel is gorgeous. It was a high key shoot, so if you haven't seen that, check that out. Well, have a look at the image I posted on Photography Videography School, but I'll post a video of that as well, that whole shoot where I'm shooting both lenses. So stay tuned for that as well. Stacks to come. Monday, I believe I'm picking up the Profoto, so stay tuned for that. And I think I've got a couple of camera bags and stuff as well. That I love camera bags that I'm going to be able to review for you all as well. 105, we've done it. Thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate it. I love you guys. And I'll see you all in the next video. I'm going to go out and get my coffee now and have some lunch. So have a great evening, everyone. And babysitting the grandkids in the weekend. Whether I do anything with that on YouTube, I don't know. But I'll see you all soon for the next video. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.